Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Torey and today we are working in my October daily album for 2024 on story number 5. For story number 5, I am documenting Hurricane Milton. I do live in Florida and Central Florida-ish area, and we are actually quite in the path, even though I am on the other side of the state from where it's going to be hitting. So I wanted to kind of get this documented in my album this year, just so that I have something to look back on if needed. I found this cute little tag in some Studio Calico cut-aparts that says things that go bump in the night. And I thought that that would fit perfectly for this documenting because the hurricane, I believe, is going to be hitting the west coast of Florida in the middle of the night, as they usually tend to do. So it works out kind of perfectly. I have a piece of Paper Person Traveler's Notebook paper here that I'm actually going to cut down to a 4x6 size because today I will be working in a page protector, which is something that I don't do very often in these projects. I tend to really just do everything outside the page protector, but I figured because I was doing this yesterday on October 7th, I wanted to do some documenting, but I wanted everything to be quite simple because I was stressing. So I figured that I could distract my mind a little bit by doing a couple of stories in this album. I prepped a lot of my journaling for all of the stories that I did yesterday. So that's what I'm doing here, is pulling off some journaling that I had printed out on some clear sticker paper. And for one of the cards, one of the October Stories cards that I am using, I am talking about the hurricane itself. And then on the other card, the card that is on the right-hand side, I'm talking about some of the prep work that we have done. And then I also have a photo of our garage. And honestly, this is the most open space we've had available in our garage for a while. So I took a photo of it, I believe, yesterday morning when I was leaving to drop the kids off at school because I was just kind of shocked and I guess momentarily forgotten that we had moved everything around in here the night before. I'm a little bit unsure still how I am going to incorporate that photo. I'm thinking I'm going to do some sort of flip up, but I don't specifically know just yet what additional items I'm going to add here. So I'm not adhering anything down for the flip up just yet. I'm going to wait a little bit because I wanted to leave myself some room to add any additional documenting later, essentially kind of like after the storm hits, maybe some reflections on that as well, and just kind of have like a little update of everything that happened or will happen once it actually arrives. So I'm just going to tuck both of those just in my pocket until at a later time when I come back and add some additional journaling. I am using my typewriter complete alphabet stamp because I pulled out 2 tags from the Studio Calico cut-aparts. One of them just says October and has some lines separating the tag up. I'm actually going to use my Color Theory inky black ink just to stamp out Milton underneath that October heading and in the big square. I'm also going to stamp out the date, so yesterday's date, the 7th. And then in the final 2 boxes, I think they say A and B, I wrote stressed and I think I wrote worried. I'm not 100% sure anymore, but I just kind of wrote in some of the feelings that I was feeling as I was getting all of this documented and in my album. So I'll just use a Pigma Micron in size 005 to get that written in there. And like I said, the first one is going to say stressed. Oh, no, I didn't even write stressed. So the first one says worried and the second one says scared. So I will be using some ribbon to adhere these 2 pieces of tag together. But before we get to that, I'm going to just outline or edge up the edges of my photo with that black ink just to make it pop out a little bit more from the actual patterned paper in the background. And then I'll set that down to let it dry, and I will pull out some ribbons to kind of see what I want to use. I don't think I've mentioned it just yet, but there was a specific reason that I chose this purple Traveler's Notebook paper to use as my 4x6 card. I liked that it kind of linked together with a little bit of purples that were in this hurricane photo that I got on Facebook. But I also have the additional photos that my daughter and I took for the Spooky Selfies page that I had done. I added those into my album, and the ones that fall right next to this page, we both have like purplish, pinkish lips on because of the filter. And this particular purple photo matched really well against that color that was used in the filter. So I thought that it would look really good with this. And because of that, my stories are actually going to be kind of out of order, but that's not really something that bothers me per se. So I have 2 stories that I was documenting prior to this one, but I ended up placing the hurricane story next to that one because the kind of stories next to each other float a little bit better. So, and then I just make sure to add actual date stamps if possible to my album, just because I do tend to kind of flip-flop and go back and forth and mix up my stories versus when they actually took place, so it's not chronologically documented, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'll just add the dates in here just to make sure that if I am looking back on this next year, I will know that this story and documentation happened technically after I took the photos for like the next story. Once again, I could not find my favorite tape runner, so I'm just using some score tape, and I'm going to get my photo adhered back down to this 4x6 patterned paper. I'd originally pulled out this little purple rickrack, and I was going to use that to kind of make the tag or the ribbon kind of piece for my tags, but that is actually like an adhesive rickrack, which I did not know. So I kind of scrapped that idea mid-process, and I'm going to place that underneath my photo here to add like a nice little border to the bottom and just kind of stick that right down. And then I had pulled out like this black glittery ribbon that I've used this a couple of times already in my album. And I really love the way that it looks, but I also a little bit despise this ribbon just because every time I use it, it gets black fluff all over my desk and it makes me a little unhappy. But the end result is usually good, so I will probably use that whole like little ribbon sample up this year, I'm imagining. I also do really like the purple shade of this rickrack ribbon, and I'm quite pleased that I used it in this way that I did, and I can see myself using this again in the future of this album as well. So I'm going to start placing things in my pockets just to kind of see how things are looking. I am not placing the actual tag pieces inside my page protector pockets. I'm actually going to adhere that down to the outside of the page protector. And I chose to do that for a couple of reasons. One, if I actually want to see this full image that I printed out, I can just pull the photo out, and I might add a little tab to the top of that later on. But that way I'm not actually covering up all of Florida with my tag here, which is what I do end up doing, adhering this to the page protector itself. And the second reason that I like to do this is because I find that when I'm working in page protectors, things come together super quickly, like I mentioned earlier, but I also don't feel like I'm doing enough, if that makes sense. So I like adding things to the outside of the pockets because it gives it that feel of kind of working outside the page protector and just adds a little bit of extraness to the actual spread itself. Now, my next story is going to be the back of this page protector, and honestly, I didn't do much with that at all. I think that video is probably going to be less than 5 minutes long. And I had considered kind of putting that video and this video together, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm going to continue to keep them as 2 separate videos just because I like that. Having each day or each story its own video. I do like that a lot. And I'm going to, if I can help it, continue that throughout my album. So I'm just going to get this placed onto my actual page protector here. And then I think that might be it. Aside from adding my story number, there's a big empty spot on the top of that top tag, and I'm going to place the story number stickers that I created that I usually have linked down in the description box below. I have a digital version of it and a physical version that can be purchased, so I'll link both down for you if you like these story number stickers. But I'm just going to place that right in that nice empty spot on the top of that things that go bump in the night tag, and then I'm done. I would love to know your thoughts on this page protector page, down in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!